Hey guys, what's up? It's Alec Torelli. Welcome back to an episode of the Hand of the Day from the Win Macau.
Hand of the Day.
In this hand, I was playing some 100-200 Hold'em, and I talked a little bit about my strategy for playing some of these middle stakes, smaller stakes games while warming up to big games in my other videos. But in short, what I wanted to do was was my first day out here in Macau, and I played some interesting hands in this game, but I was getting warmed up for playing some bigger stakes, and realistically, I hadn't played poker in a little while, and I didn't want to just hop in at the biggest game. Other athletes warm up before playing higher stakes games, and I think it's really smart to check your ego at the door and just get back in the flow, get back in that feel of playing poker, get your mind working on the game and immersed in it. And I think that's a great thing to do when you're taking trips to play poker. Anyway, I was playing this 100-200 game, and I had an interesting hand that I want to share with you. VIP limps in early position. I'm to his left. I make it 1K, 5x raise, folds around to him, and he calls. Flop comes Jack 3 deuce with 1 diamond. I have ace 6 of diamonds, so I have backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. He checks, and I bet 1K, which is pretty small, a little bit less than half the pot, maybe closer to 40% of the pot. And I think this is a good bet size because you're basically just trying to get him to fold out some air. You don't want to check and then have him, be able to bet the turn, and then you can't really call. I also have a hand that is potential to turn into a bluff. So I'm betting this flop with the potential of turning my hand into a bluff on different types of turns. If the turn comes a queen, it's a bad card for his range, I might bluff. King, bad card for his range, good card for my range, I might bluff. Ace, of course, gives me top pair. Any 4 or 5 gives me more equity. Any diamond gives me a bluffing card as well. So you have to bet this flop, not just saying, oh, I'm the pre-flop raiser, I'm going to c-bet and try and win, but you have to bet with a plan of why you're betting and what you're hoping to accomplish. One thing to ask yourself before making any bet is, why am I betting here? What am I hoping to accomplish in the hand? I bet 1K and he calls. So his range here is pretty weak. I'm not like super worried about his hand. Sure, he can have a jack. He probably never has a set. He probably never has anything really strong, especially with the speed to which he called the flop and facing such a small bet size. I feel like if he had anything, he probably would raise me right there. He could easily have something like ace high, which he's going to fold on the turn, or a middle pair, which he's also going to fold on the turn, facing another bet. Turn comes a 5, which is a good card for me to barrel. I picked up equity, and if you want to keep your range balanced, a good way that's simple to do so is only bet when you pick up more equity, because that'll generally balance your range so that you're not bluffing too often. You're also only betting when your hand strength goes up in value or your equity goes up in value, which gives you more potential to win the pot if you're called. He checks. Now I bet 4K here, and I decide to go for a big pot size bet because I really want to put pressure on a hand like a mid pair, ace high, or maybe even a jack that I can get him to fold by the river. I have some good bluff cards on the river, namely the same ones that we talked about on the turn, a queen, a king, an ace, a 4. I could bluff those cards. It's a spot where I want to start applying a lot of pressure and put max pressure on his range because I have what's called a range advantage, meaning my range is a lot stronger than his range, so this is a good spot for me to bet. I also have one of the worst hands I could have. I don't have that many bluffs here in this spot that I'm going to be betting the turn with, and I'm going to be planning on barreling a decent amount of rivers as well. He ends up calling to the turn, to my dismay, and we go heads up to the river. The river comes an ace, so now there's a 1 card straight on the board, but you have to think to yourself before you decide what to do, what types of hands that your opponent actually has. He checks, and now I'm thinking to myself, should I bet for value here, and how much should I bet? I think a lot of people's first instinct here is, oh, 1 card straight, I'm gonna check, he's not gonna call with the jack, but you have to think, is it even possible that he has a straight? Sure, he could have a 4, but what 4s does he really have? Ace 4? 4, 5? But that's pretty much it. Maybe 3-4, but he probably doesn't limp with 3-4 and 4-5 under the gun. Maybe he has ace 4. I have an ace in my hand, so that's less likely. There's an ace on the board, so it's even more less likely. There's only really 2 combos of ace 4 suited. It's just not likely enough for me to really worry about it. He could have pocket 4s too, sure, but if you weigh those hands against all the possible other hands he has, like pocket pairs, or maybe 5x, or a jack, there's a lot of those hands that he can have that I could get value from. Ace-jack is unlikely because he didn't raise pre-flop, so I'm really putting him on a mid-strength jack like king-jack, queen-jack, jack-10, jack-9, or a middle-strength pair. Now that it's kind of obvious that I have the best hand most of the time, the question is, how much should I bet? Well, if I bet something like the size of the pot, I might scare him off with a jack and he might talk himself into a fold. But if I bet really, really small, something like 3K, he's probably going to talk himself into a call. What this bet also might do is allow him to turn a hand into a bluff. Let's say he has something like pocket 6s, or 7s, or 8s, or 9s, or Jack X. He might decide to get crafty and turn that hand into a bluff, and facing a check raise, I could go ahead and call it off. Sure, I lose to his value range, which is, again, small like we talked about, but I beat all his bluffs. So I'm betting here to induce a bluff and also to get value from the types of hands that I want him to call with that we just discussed. I bet 3K, he hems and haws and ends up calling, and I win an extra bet that I feel like I wouldn't have otherwise won had I checked or not bet as big as I normally would have, or not bet as small as I think is correct to do in this spot. I would love to hear your thoughts in this video. What do you think? Is this a good bet size? Did I play the hand well? Leave me your thoughts in a comment below because I'm always learning from you and your feedback is awesome and the community really appreciates it. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. And if you want more awesome content from us that I only share with subscribers, subscribe to ConsciousPoker.com. I will give you access to my free hand range funnel, which is the process I use to systematically narrow down my opponent's range until I can figure out precisely what they have, just like I did here in this video for you. It's absolutely free and you'll get access to some of our best content that I only share with subscribers at ConsciousPoker.com. And I'll see you guys next time on the Hand of the Day. Cheers.